So our first lesson for today, we're going to look at systems. Again, we've looked at systems earlier this term, but we looked at linear systems. Today, we're going to branch out and look at quadratic and linear systems. So what that really means is we're going to determine the points of intersection of a quadratic, a parabola, seen in blue, and a linear system or a linear equation, which is just a line. So today we're going to compute where a line and a parabola intersect. Keep in mind those two are going to be ordered pairs. So if you look here, your two solutions would be 5, 8, and negative 3, 0. The two ordered pairs where they cross each other. So to do this, you're going to be given two equations. One of them is going to be a quadratic. It's going to have x squared in it. The other one's going to be linear. It's just going to be plain old x. Just like you solved with Josh in Algebra 1. So for this, you are going to look to get both equations that equal y. In this case, both of them equal y. If they both equal y, they must equal each other. So it's like saying that I'm the same age as Michelle, and Michelle's the same age as Will, then you can conclude that I'm the same age as Will, right? Because if we're the same age and they're the same age, then we would also have to be the same age. Kind of the same concept here. If this first box equals y and the second box equals y, then they both have to equal each other. So your first step is going to be set these two boxes equal to each other. I've actually already done it for you on the first line. Then you're just going to take this. It's a quadratic because you have x squared. You're going to move everything to one side. So we're going to move the x, and we're going to move the plus 5 to the other side. So we're moving everything to one side so that we can have 0 on one side. So we're going to subtract x and we're going to subtract 5, subtract x and subtract 5 from the other side. We're doing that so that we can get the 0 on one side. In this case, it happens to be the right side. So now on the left side, I still have x squared. I have 2x minus x. 2 minus 1 just gives me 1. And then 3 minus 5 gives me negative. So now I have x squared plus 1x minus 2 equals 0. If we're following our instructions here, step 3 says to factor and solve. When you're asked to factor, you always look for a greatest common factor. The majority of the time, you won't have any greatest common factors. So you would just jump to your asterisks. In my asterisk, A goes to the top left and top right. A happens to be 1. B goes to the bottom middle. B also happens to be 1. And then A times C goes in the top middle. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Now I'm going to look for two numbers that multiply to give me negative 2, but add to give me 1. Two times negative 1 multiplies to give me negative 2 and adds to give me 1. Looking at my two fractions, neither one reduces, so add your variables to the top and then move them sideways to get your factors, x plus 2 and x minus 1. Still equals 0. Are we good so far? Am I going too fast? All right. A few days ago, we learned that when we have two sets of parentheses being multiplied together and their product is 0, you can use the 0 product property to set them both equal to 0. So we're going to have x plus 2 equals 0 and x minus 1 equals 0. Then you're just going to do one little step to figure out x equals negative 2 and x equals 1. You're almost done. Remember on that last slide, I told you our answers are going to be ordered pairs. We found the x values to both of our answers. So ordered pairs, we're going to have two ordered pairs. One of them is going to have an x value of negative 2. The other one's going to have an x value of 1. There's two different ways of finding your y values. So I'm going to focus on this first one, x equals -2. I'm going to go back to one of these boxes and plug that x value in. Now, which one of these do you think is going to be easier to plug into, the top one or the bottom? The bottom one's definitely easier. That linear equation is always going to be the one you want to use because it's just the easiest. So if I went up here and I plugged in -2 right here, -2 plus 5 is, yeah, right, 3. -2 plus 5 just gives us 3. So one of our answers is going to be the ordered pair -2, 3. Then we're going to take our second x value. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to plug it in up here into the linear equation. 1 plus 5 is 6. You found both your answers. So both answers, ordered pairs, x comma y. Once you find your x's, plug them into the easier equation, always going to be the linear one. You could, if you were wanting a challenge, plug it into the quadratic one. You'd have to plug it in twice, wash your signs when you square things, and so on. Let's do another. All right, moving to the next page. Again, we're told to solve algebraically. We're given a quadratic equation and a linear equation. They're both set equal to y. So you're going to set the two boxes equal to each other for step number 1. Step number 2, you're going to move everything to one side. What that means, you're going to subtract x and subtract 2. That's going to give us 0 on the right side. So take a moment, move everything to the left side. So that gives us x squared minus 5x plus 4 equals 0. Now that we have 0 on one side, we're going to use our asterisks to figure out our two factors. So in my asterisk, a goes in the top left and top right. In this case, a is 1. B goes to the bottom middle, so -5 goes to the bottom middle. And then for the top middle, you're going to multiply a times c. 1 times 4 is 4. Then we're looking for two numbers that multiply to give me the top and add to give me the bottom. So they have to multiply to give me 4 and add to give me -5. -4 and -1. So -4 times -1, multiply to give me 4, and add to give me -5. Add your variables to the top and see if you can reduce. Anytime a is 1, you're not going to be able to reduce. So we just have factors x minus 4, x minus 1, still equals 0. Set both your factors equal to 0, so x minus 4 equals 0. X minus 1 equals 0. To get x values of 4 and 1. Keep in mind, you're not done until you get to ordered pairs. So in the past, I've had students get to here and they want to stop. You have to find the corresponding y values to both of these x's. So I'm going to have an x value of 4 in one answer and an x value of 1 in my other answer. How do I find the y values? Plug them in. You could plug into either equation, but I would definitely always go to the linear one, x plus 2 in this case. If I plug in 4 into x, 4 plus 2 gives me 6. And then 1 plus 2 gives me 3. I don't really have to show any work. I can add 2 in my head. If you want to write that down, that's fine. But my two answers in this case, the ordered pair 4, 6, and the ordered pair 1, 3. Questions on this one? All right, jump to the next page. I want you to see if you can do step 1. So step 1, you want to set both of these equal to each other because they both equal y. So hopefully for step number 1, you wrote x squared plus 6x plus 10 equals negative 2x minus 6. If you flipped it and you have the negative 2x minus 6 on the left and the x squared plus 6x plus 10 on the right, that's fine. It's the same exact thing. For your next step, you want to get 0 on one side, so you're going to add 2x and add 6 to both sides. That's going to give us x squared plus 8x plus 16. What's our next step? Asterisk. So we're going to factor it using our asterisk method. A is 1, so we're putting 1s in the top left, top right. B is 8, so that's going in the bottom middle. Top middle, we're going to multiply A times C. 1 times 16 is 16. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to give us 16 and add to give us 8. 4 and 4. Perfect. Add the variables to the top, see if you can reduce. Again, A is 1, so you can't reduce. So that gives us factors of x plus 4 and x plus 4. Still equals 0. So I'm going to set both my factors equal to 0 using that zero product property. One of them has to equal 0. When I get my answers, I get x equals negative 4, and then again, I get x equals negative 4. Do you think I'm going to get two answers for this one? Nope. You're only going to have one answer because when you plug in negative 4, you're going to get the same answer for both of them. You do not have to write it twice. So we're going to take negative 4 and we're going to plug it right in here. So I'm going to take negative 2 times negative 4, which is positive 8, minus 6. Positive 8 minus 6 is 2. So if you want to see what this looks like, so here's a parabola. If it's only got one answer, that means that the line you were given only touches the parabola at one point. So it would look something like this. This is just an example. So your parabola, your line would only like nick the side of it at one point. That's what happens when we just get that one answer. So most of the time it crosses at 2 points, but this is just an instance of where you would get one answer. We didn't do anything wrong. We factored it. We got the same two factors, which means you're going to have one x value in your answer. Questions on this? All right, the next page, you have some problems to work on. 5 of them, I believe. You're going to get some large y values. That's okay. So one of them I think is 89. Don't panic. If you have questions or concerns, please, please, please let me know.